Alrighty, so this is the fifth video of Chapter 9 lecture about leisure and technology. And in this video, we're going to wrap up how pervasive technology is in our life and leisure, and we're going to move on to the future, the exciting part about technology and leisure. So the one thing that's left off, what obvious example of technology that impact our leisure, or actually technology that is our leisure, is video games, right? And I don't really like the word video games anymore because almost like video games, I think it's a misleading name anymore because it gives her an impression that something, the storyline is pre-recorded, pre-programmed, and we're just like replaying it while we're playing it. That's not the case anymore. There's no necessary, a lot of games are online, it's dynamic, it's multiplayer, right? So you never know what's gonna happen. And that's it's like a sports, right? You're never gonna know which team is gonna win. That's the point of the sports and excitement. And that's exactly what's happening in a lot of games these days, popular games at least. Anyway, but they're changing their nature dynamically, drastically because of that online connectivity, right? Xbox, PS4, well, now there's a PS5 coming, Xbox new thing came out too. They're always connected. And that it just has to be online computer PC game. By nature, they're connected, multiplayer. According to an article cited in the chapter 2019, about a 30%, 27.5% of the games sold in the United States, and I think the similar pattern applies here in Canada, in 2016 were shooter game. Do you know what is called FPS, first-person shooter game? It looks like actually on the right bottom, sorry. There's basically, you don't see yourself and you only see maybe your hands and your weapon, and you kind of shoot each other. There's like some sort of team play going on, maybe. That type of game. It's very popular, very popular. In 2018, Call of Duty series, there were few titles in this series, as well as Modern Warfare 2 had a 24 million fans. Now, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, I think you see a tendency, if you haven't played those games, you can Google search. But what are the patterns in terms of themes here? And also first shooter, first FPS, first person shooter. And why do we see these patterns? Why these games are popular? What's in it? What does it tell? What do they tell about, how we want to spend our leisure, right? In terms of game, another very popular genre is RPG, role-playing games. However, with those connected, connectivity and, different new machine, of course, I really want to, PS5 and all that, but is this MMORPG, massively multiplayer online role-playing game. An example could be WoW, which is actually not like surprise, but World of Warcraft series. There are so many titles inside of this WoW series. Final Fantasy, actually there's a new Final Fantasy apparently coming out with their PS5, so that's exciting. There's apparently something called Guild Wars, which I've never seen, never played, but apparently popular. It has been studied because it's such a common, very popular. And one study, all strong, I think, and colleagues in 2012, it's been a while actually, they studied a very interesting group of people. The couples who play MMORPG, both of them, right? Husband and wife, or wife and a wife, or husband and husband, whatever that might be. But both parties are playing MMORPG, the same title specifically, and how that impact their marital satisfaction, their gaming behavior. Surprisingly, there were some positive factor, the factor that had a positive impact on their marital satisfaction based on, in the game. And of course, there are also negative factors. So that's very interesting. It's the positive side that you gotta retire. The couple have to retire to bed, as in stop the game each day at the same time, go to bed together. Not like, hey, honey, you just go to the bed earlier. Like, I'm gonna just play a couple more rounds. Don't do that. Another important thing is in-game interaction between the, with the spouse. What, basically, whether it's, sometimes we can do voice chat, right? PS4 allows you to do voice chat. Can you do that voice chat? Can you chat, like, mix messages? You can do that too. Those are very important things, apparently, positive factors. You should do that. And the frequency of game before marriage, did you do more game more commonly, more time before the game? It's not before the marriage. It's not like, you met this person and that got you hooked in the game right before or right around the marriage. Okay, if you were a gamer before marriage, long before marriage, that tends to be good for your marital satisfaction. Of course, because that doesn't matter. The gaming doesn't bother your marriage and the relationship satisfaction because you've been gamers for a while. Now the negative factors, so those are positive factors. Obviously there are negative factors. Of course, you don't want to have fights and arguments about gaming. So that's there. That's a very obvious one. Simultaneous gaming time is also a negative factor, which is very interesting. Like you're playing game at the same time. And now that I also play a little game myself on the PS4, I know why. Because with those games, the fact that you're playing, the couples are playing games at the same time means that you cannot play on the same console. Most of the games, you need one console for you. So for example, if you have to have a PS4 yourself, and the other person have to have a PS4 and another set of monitor, if it's not two. All right. So that means you're in different areas, you're spending more money. I think that could lead to different issues as well. You're not physically together, really, things like that. Belonging, and last one is very interesting. In those games like MMORPG, there are something called a guild or clan or some sort of team, basically, of players, right? You should not belong to the same guild. Apparently, that's not a good factor. Now, the reason why is very interesting, and I don't really know. But one, for example, hypothesis is that when you belong to the same guild, there could be some sort of competition, or there's some level of hierarchy. Each guild has some sort of leader, and you have a clear idea of who is better, who is good players, who is not, and that kind of hierarchy doesn't do good when it comes to, for example, marriage and relationship, oftentimes. So I think that could be a reason. But there are positive and negative factors, and that's very important. And I hope you learn some of those things because more and more couples, I think, are going to play games. Maybe not MMORPG, but some type of games. The generation, younger generation are getting married and hitting that age and life stage. So I think more couples play some type of games. So these kind of study is very important. And these are the things that actually make us happy or save us from unhappiness. So toward the end, the chapter makes this point that the leisure activity have always changed over time, but the digital age over the past 20, 30 years has probably changed our leisure life the most in the least amount of time. Again, going back to the notion of exponential increase, exponential. The distinction between leisure and technology have become difficult to tease out. Now, in many cases, the technology is the new leisure, basically, right? Social media is technology, and that's the leisure. The games, technology in it, that's the leisure for us, many of us. So they are intertwined, strongly related. If you want to understand the leisure now and its influence on happiness, we gotta talk about technology. We have to. Okay, actually, I'm gonna stop this video now, and I'm gonna see you in hopefully last video about the future of technology.